The next session is reimagining filmmaking in the world of AI. Chaitanya is already on stage. Chaitanya Chinchlikar is Vice President and Business Head at Whistling Woods International. First, he's going to give a short presentation, I believe, and after that, the panelists will be joining him. Mandar Natekar, co-founder and CEO of NeuralGarage, and Vishal Yoman, who is founder and CEO Kalpanik Films.
Thanks, sir. You're welcome. Okay, so what I thought we'd do is I'll do a very, very quick overview of how we are approaching filmed entertainment in the world of AI. And then what I want to specifically do is talk about the successful business models where AI goes beyond just portfolio pieces, and we're actually going to show you some stuff which has generated a decent amount of let's say revenue potential in the market, and then bring on people who will talk about it and go deep dive into each of them, and then we'll do some Q&A. Okay, so about 10 minutes of me boring you, and then another 20 minutes of the smart people talking about AI, and then questions from you, which will be very smart as well. So let's go. अभी कैसे चल गया? I know. Okay. So before we get to actually talking about AI, I want to take you through this. This is the hype cycle this is a hype cycle. Any emerging technology that enters into the world generally will follow and go through this hype cycle. So none of these are so-called bad areas or good areas, it's just the way it is, right? Everything will have an innovation trigger, a peak of inflated expectation, a trough of disillusionment, a slope of enlightenment, and a plateau of productivity. Now different tech workflows will go through the hype cycle at different speeds, and this is not working. Okay? Okay. Now, AI is not new. It's been around in our life for a long time. It definitely did not start when OpenAI launched in 2022 like everybody thinks it is. This is the Gartner hype cycle in 2016, 9 years ago. 9 years ago, there were enough elements about AI into this, whether it's general purpose machine intelligence or whether it is things like virtual personal assistants, or a lot of AI is already in here 9 years ago, right? So clearly this has been coming for a while. Now I'm going to very quickly cycle through the hype cycles for the last 9 years to help you understand. So this is 2017. This is when AGI first makes its presence, right? So it's still at the innovation trigger and it's still 10 years away. If you look at the yellow triangle, it's 10 years out, right? And then I'll show you a slide in 2023 which talks about, actually 2025, which talks about AGI still being 10 years out. So it has been 8 years and still that 10 years out has continued. So there are some tech which very quickly make it through the hype cycle, there is some tech which takes a long time, right? So we don't have to kind of get into either the hype or the doom and gloom very quickly, so you'll get some sense of where AI is right now. This is 2018. I'm going to stick this up on LinkedIn after that so you can refer to it, but right now I want to focus more on what Mandar and Vishal have to say and answering questions, yeah? And this is public domain, Gartner releases it every year. 2019, 2020, 21. This is when you really start to see significant amount of AI coming in. 22 is when the explosion happens for Gen AI. 2023 is when, within 1 year, Gen AI is at the peak of inflated expectations, if you see it here, right at the top. And there was so much conversation around AI that Gartner actually released a hype cycle just for AI. So this is the 2023 Gartner hype cycle just for artificial intelligence, and you see a lot of the various AI tools at various stages. A good understanding of of how it flows is look at computer vision. It's on the plateau of productivity, right? So it's just become normalized now. Once upon a time, the computer seeing something and reacting to this was a big deal. Now the whole world and every small office has a facial recognition system based attendance, which is like absolute bottom of the pyramid when it comes to visual AI. And once upon a time, computer vision was like, oh my God, the computer is seeing something, we are going to cure cancer. Nahi hota hai aise. And this is what the goal is, right? The goal is to help you understand that it's just part of the normal tech development cycle. This is 2024. Now let's get to 2025. So this is the hype cycle for emerging technologies 2025. What generative AI was in 2023 is what AI agents are this year. The hype around AI agents is like absolute. It's like no human is ever going to do anything. Everything is going to be done by AI agents, which is completely not true. Yes, they are going to be a big part of all our lives. And all of us will create AI agents at some point of time. Some of us may even have the ability to create hybrid AI agents, which is physical and digital. But it's clearly not going to do everything. This is the 2025 hype cycle just for AI. And this gives you a good sense. This released 4 days ago. So the last presentation, it wasn't available. See where it is, right? So model distillation, knowledge graphs are pretty much sorted. Sorry, I'm assuming that everybody has a little bit of understanding of AI because otherwise 45 minutes mein to hoga nahi. And Edge AI and Gen AI is both on its way down, which is where it should be, right? I think the hype is kind of coming around. People are understanding that you can't wake up one morning and use Gen AI to make a film. That ain't happening. So that logic is now kind of creeping in. But if you still see AI agents is right there at the peak of inflated expectations, and AGI is still getting there, but it's still 10 years out. So this helps us understand how to approach forward thinking, future looking content and technologies, emerging technologies. So now how do we approach AI for filmed entertainment, right? And the way to do it is to look at 5 aspects. One, very, very simple things. What are the 3 pillars of AI? Next is the selfish question, what can it do for me? Because if it can't do anything for me, then what's the whole point? मेरे लिए क्या कर सकते हो तुम? Third one is what can I do to make sure that you work for me? Right? The fourth one is where is it with jobs? And you can see there is nothing negative here. It is either assisting, it is enhancing, or it is revolutionizing. Because honestly, there is nothing else. You can hold your head and sit and cry for the rest of your life that AI is going to take my job. It doesn't solve any problem. The way to look at it is this. And the last one is where the money at, which is where we'll be spending most amount of time. So how do we approach AI for filmed entertainment? Now this is specifically for the content creation bit, right? Now ignore all the stuff at the bottom. The key thing to look at it is there are 3 areas. There is the creative foundation, which is the unchanging core. It will never change, right? You still need to tell a story, you still need to write a script, you still need to have characters, you still need to generate empathy. The second is the craft workflows, which is the semi-stable part of it, right? It kind of remains for a while and then it changes and then it changes, just like in traditional filmmaking. First you had celluloid, then you had digital, then you had VFX, then you had real time, you had virtual production. पहले जो post में होता था फिर वो pre में होने लगा. So just like workflows remain stable for a while and then they change. They remain stable for a while and then they change. Exactly the same thing will happen in AI. Your unchanging core, which is storytelling, production, psychology, none of this is going to change. It's not like people are suddenly going to start watching a film because it is created by AI, if it has no story or empathy. Whereas the workflows, which are the semi-stable ones, these will remain for a while and then change, remain for a while and then change. And the third one, which is honestly where we spend too much time obsessing and focusing on, which is the tools and the platforms and the agents, which is the most dynamic part of AI. It is so dynamic that it didn't make sense even listing the tools, because by the time I finish writing the list, 2 of those tools will be dead and 4 new will come in, right? And there is where we have to, it matters less what the tool is, it matters more what this is, and it matters a little less what this is. This is the core at the end of it when it comes to filmed entertainment. The next question, how can AI help me? Right? Now, the same way it helps everybody else. Media and entertainment industry कोई निराला industry नहीं है. We are not different from the rest of the world. We are part of the world. Just as AI does things for the whole other world, it also does things for us. So, it has prompt engineering, for us is Gen AI prompts. There is computer vision, for us it's photogrammetry. This is just one example. These are all generic AI tools and functions. So we shouldn't think of ourselves as, we are some very alag planet se hai, or AI does stuff for us which it doesn't do for anything else. It doesn't. Which also means that we should learn from what AI is doing in other industries. We should see where the deployment is and how we can, it works well for us, right? Look at Edge AI, cloud usage management for streaming. This is used in a lot of other areas, in the military a lot, because they really have to analyze a lot of data real time. And some of it is on-prem and some of it is cloud. And you need Edge AI to make sure that your lag is close to 0, because there literally it's a matter of life and death, because you're shooting bullets or bombs at someone. For us it's about, streaming. अच्छा quality, वो ये नहीं आना चाहिए, resolution कम नहीं होना चाहिए. It's kind of different but still same problem. So, these are just examples of how AI can help me. So, this is usage in filmed entertainment. It's an indicative list. This is not an exhaustive list. An exhaustive list will go into 20 pages. So, for filmmaking, these are just some of the areas where AI will help. For video game design, I've just picked up 3-4 random ones. Now, video game design is where there is significant amount of AI which has been deployed for a really long time, especially when it comes to NPC, non-playing character behavior, right? I don't know how many people are gamers here, but your kids are. So, go and ask them what an NPC is. They'll tell you. In advertising, so the speaker before us, did a great job talking about advertising, but there is so much amount of AI that is in advertising, whether it's neuromarketing, whether it's empathy, there's so many other areas, right? So now that we've answered the first two, which is how do you approach it, and then what can it do for me, how can I help it? And this is where the first one becomes very, very important, which is data labeling and annotation. If you don't have enough well-trained, well-labeled local data, you will not be able to use it very, very well. For the longest time, there was very little Indian content available in a lot of the global AI tools. So if you, 3 years ago, if you typed Indian woman, 50% of the time you would get a Native American woman, because it would link Indian to Red Indian, right? Even though they're not really called that there anymore. But there's metadata which says that this photo is of a Red Indian woman. So until there is enough data labeling that we do, and I'm not just talking about Indian, we need to go hyper-local. What does a man from Palakkad look like? Right? So unless there is enough photographs or enough video with the metadata man and Palakkad in it, it's nobody's fault. The training model just doesn't have the training data. It's up to us to do it, because someone from Germany can't do that. So we have to make sure that we are uploading well tagged, well data labeled metadata into public training databases as much as possible. So YouTube, etc., etc., etc. So start, every time you create a video for Insta or YouTube or X, start to think about meta tagging and adding as much metadata as possible. हमारे ही काम आएगा आगे जाके. Because honestly, no German is thinking about googling man from Palakkad and trying to put it into his film or his ad, right? We are. A lot of the other things are more developer linked, so whether it's first principles, causal, interoperability rules, primarily for multi-agent systems. So these are more developer focused, but the first one and the most important one is what all of us can do. Good. Okay, impact of job roles. So like I said, again, indicative list. So if you look at screenwriting, it is assistive at best. It cannot write. But pre-visualization, it has revolutionized the world completely. Audio, it has revolutionized it. Cinematography, assisted at best, auto LUTs and some other things. And the interesting bit is, this changes every day, because new models keep coming in, new tools keep coming in, new thinking keeps coming in, new approaches keep coming in. So what are the AI tools? Just again, I'm going to go through this very quickly in less than 30 seconds because it doesn't matter, right? So screenwriting and direction, what are the tools? Cinematography, what are tools? Trust me, by the time you leave the hall, some of this may change, right? So it's literally as of yesterday, some of it may have already changed between yesterday and today, right? VFX, animation and gaming, there's a lot in animation and gaming. Generic tools that everybody uses. Abhi maja aayega, right? So where's the money at? ये सब हम क्यों कर रहे हैं? What is the whole point? If there is no money, there is no point in doing all this, right? Generative AI, creating content and putting it as a portfolio piece helps nobody. It's a waste of everything. Electricity, because you've accessed database and your computer space and your time, and might as well have a drink in that time, right? So this is where I'm going to spend the most amount of time. If you look at it, this is the revenue opportunity slide, if you want to call it. So upar is what is the tech input, what is the human input. The bottom is work being done and consumer expectations. Now oddly, work being done and consumer expectations is exactly opposite to each other. जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा काम हो रहा है, वहाँ पे consumer expectation सबसे low है, right? Which is very weird, but people are weird. So, low tech, little to no input. So news aggregation. All of us have news aggregation apps. They're all underlying is AI. But none of us open the things and tap it thinking, I am interacting with AI. We don't really think of it, even though we are. That's the one part of our life where we're interacting with AI the most. But we don't even think of it like that. Compression, decompression, right? And encryption, WhatsApp, other things, many other things. WhatsApp is very badly encrypted, but still, other things, right? TV signals, right? Compliance, captioning. You just go to YouTube and hit that CC button के मतलब जैसे मेरा जन्म सिद्ध अधिकार है कि closed captions आने चाहिए. But I am not going to pay YouTube extra money because there is closed captions. So there's significant amount of AI usage there, but there's no money. I mean, I'm not, as a consumer, I'm not thinking of it like that, right? Same thing with social media content, which thankfully now YouTube has stopped monetizing. Top 5 beach destinations of the world. There are some 10,000 videos on it. They're all AI generated. Well, most of them are. So then you come to tier 3. So here there is some money, not zero money, some, but still not really. So promos, right? A lot of promos are AI generated. So generally you put a film in and you say, give me 10 promos, it will give you 10. One of them will be half decent. You will stick it up on YouTube, especially if you are not a really big production house. Press kits. Most of the press kits are AI generated. Audiobooks. India on an average, just one publisher releases on an average one audiobook every day. 90% of audiobooks in India is AI generated. Audio description and then AI enabled short films. So this as of now is still only a portfolio piece. Nobody is willing to pay or subscribe to a platform just because the short film is AI enabled. Now we come to where the mall is. This is where money is being made right now. This is where the business opportunities are, right? So first one, which is visual AI for motion capture. Now this is one application of computer vision. So this was time hai. This was an output that we had generated in the Whistling Woods Emerging Media Lab. where you see at the bottom right, he's not wearing any markers, he's not wearing any suits for mocap, and what you see is almost real time. So it's markerless motion capture using visual AI. It gets fingers, it gets turnarounds, it gets, arms crossed, one above the other, it gets all that. So right now this is only doing single assets. Our team at the institute is working to make it multi-asset, right? So it's so little to no training time. It's a single 4K camera. It can even be a phone. Anything which shoots RGB in 4K. It takes the visual data. It reaches out into a pose estimation algorithm, and then creates the joint points, all the joint points, and then applies it real time to a digital asset. So about 8 frames on an average delay, which is great, right? I mean, literally, by the time your eyes move from Aman, the kid out there, to this, it had already. So you're actually not losing time, right? The next one, which is where I want to bring Mandar in, is content repurposing and visual dub, right? Now here I'm going to play a bunch of videos. Okay. Audio ठीक है ना?
If you don't stop right now, I am going to get you disbarred.
अगर आप तुरंत चुप नहीं हुए, मैं आपको डिसबार कर दूंगा।
India is the largest user of UPI. India is the largest user of OBI. और इन UPI यूजर्स का डेटा NPTI यानी नेशनल पेमेंट डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के सर्वर्स पर स्टोर और इन OBI यूजर्स का डेटा NBDI यानी नेशनल बैंकिंग डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के सर्वर्स पर स्टोर।
జాబ్ అప్లికేషన్ కోసం కాంట్రాక్టర్ మీకు నా ఆధార్ కార్డు కూడా ఇచ్చిందా? నా సత్తా చాలా సింపుల్. నువ్వు నాకు పేరు చెప్పు, నేను నీకు ఆ శవాన్ని ఇస్తా. ఒక టెర్రర్ గ్రూప్కి ఇంతకన్నా ఏం కావాలి? లూత్రా వీడియో రాక్ని పంపించారు.
So, welcome Mandar. Mandar is the CEO and co-founder of NeuralGarage. So I want him to spend some time doing a deep dive into how visual dub was created and how it works and how it's language agnostic. So over to you.
Thanks CC. Basically, it began with a love for cinema, and we felt that we should be able to enjoy cinema in every language without the barrier of understanding the language. So imagine watching a Korean film with English audio. The audio and the visuals don't match, and the viewing experience really sucks. Plus, importantly, it is not how the cinema creator or the filmmaker intends his audience to watch his films. So our journey began from there. With visual dub, now when you watch a Korean film with English audio, you actually feel you're watching a film that has been filmed in English itself, because the technology transfers the expression of the face of the actors to the new language. So this is not just lip sync, but it goes beyond lip sync to expression sync. Because when we speak, it is not just our lips that move, but over 40 facial muscles that come into play. And if the transformed content needs to look authentic, it is important that all of those muscles get transformed accordingly. Your smile lines, the dimples, the muscles on your neck, the Adam's apple, the lines under your eyes. And that is very, very critical. Importantly, we've built this technology to meet the exacting standards of the film industry. That means the primary result should be theatrical ready. That means it should retain the complete resolution of the shoot to the last pixel. Whether you're filming it with IMAX cameras or regular cameras, the resolution retention is most critical. Most importantly, not just the resolution on the actor's face, but also background, lighting, depth, camera movements, actor movements, multiple actors on the same screen, same scene. All of these are complexities that need to be solved by the technology for the results to look authentic. So whether you watch content on the big screen or on your favorite OTT platform, dubbed content should look as if it has been filmed in that language itself. And that really is something that we've been able to build. Our technology is now not just into our presentations, but large studios like YRF, Dharma Productions, Sun Pictures, Friday Filmworks are using our technology, including Madoc and Excel in their upcoming films, to solve these very basic problems. And like Chaitanya mentioned, technology has a hype cycle, right? But what we have built as technology is something which I call the toothpaste phenomena. Sometimes you use things for the effect of it, right? But you never step out of the house without brushing your teeth. So our technology solves very, very basic problems in content creation, which is the lip sync, which is absent in dubbed content. Sometimes you shoot and you realize you've shot the wrong dialogue. So there is dialogue correction. And last but not the least is also the ability to solve for censorship challenges. Because all of these things require you to either cut the scene out or reshoot again, both very expensive solutions. But with visual dub, these things can be easily managed. And this is why industry has adopted the technology in a big way. And yeah, I mean, this is
I want to just come
the scope,
in.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the underlying tech, which is where you take the frame or the scene and break it down into the phoneme and the vism?
So what happens is, when we speak, the lowest bit of sound from an algorithm point of view, from the algorithm point of view is what we define as a phoneme. And every phoneme has a corresponding lip shape. Now these are universal themes, whether you're speaking in Arabic or Turkish or Hindi or Telugu or Spanish, the phoneme viseme connection is universal. For example, m, p, b, at these phonemes you have to close your lips, and at a, fa, these you have to open your lips. Our algorithm at its base has understand these billions of transactions and can exactly predict what the corresponding lip shape would be when you get an input of audio. And these are language agnostic, these are dialect agnostic, and these are ethnicity agnostic. That really means this technology is plug and play. Given audio as an input, it transforms the face to match the new audio.
So when you look at business models, there's actually two business models here. One is what you saw. The second business model is repurposing of library content, right? So, okay, in this, Mandar has access to all the raw footage, all the raw data. You know, he's got access to Akshay Kumar and the judge and all that, and Ritik and all that. तो फिर कोई भी कर सकता है, उसमें क्या बड़ी बात है? The whole idea is how do I take existing footage that has been shot 20 years ago or 10 years ago and then restructure that into multilingual. So instead of having one film, now you have 5 films in 5 different languages, all of which are core. So we're currently in the middle of a POC to try and do Khalnayak in Tamil. which is core, where Sanju is speaking in Tamil, in his language, in his voice, right?
But this is also, Chaitanya, I'll just take a second here. This is also massive business opportunity
Correct.
for content owners, because now you have a library that can be remonetized all over again across the world, across broadcast networks, cable networks, pay-per-view platforms, OTT platforms, maybe a re-release. So interestingly, there's a large production house that has released a film in Marathi. They're talking to us to repurpose it in Hindi using visual dub, release it again so that now it can be sold to OTT platforms as a Hindi film, which really opens up massive monetization opportunities.
So there are about 5,000 Indian films in different languages that are good enough to be dubbed or recreated in multiple languages, right? That's opening up on an average, a 25 to 30,000 crore potential revenue generation opportunity every time it goes through a TV or a digital syndication cycle. Right? So I just want to, actually we'll do the next one and then I'll do this at the end. Okay?
Thanks,
Cool.
thanks, CC.
So have a seat. No, sit down. Then when they're done, then I'll pull up the chairs again. Okay, so the next one, let's look at music videos. Now I'm going to play you 2 minutes of a music video. Lights there.
बिरज में रंग उड़ाया कन्हैया कैसा जुलम कर डाला कैसा जुलम कर डाला कन्हैया कैसा जुलम कर डाला गोपियों संग बरजोरी है गुइया गोपियों संग बरजोरी राधा की चूनर कोरी है गुइया राधा की चूनर कोरी एक पल में रंग डाला कन्हैया कैसा जुलम कर डाला ब्रिज में रमन अरे आओ रे रंग जाओ रे आओ फागुन की मस्ती में भीग जाओ रे आओ रे
So even the song is Gen AI. The words, the lyrics, the music, everything. Right? So take you through a breakdown of this. Vishal. So Vishal is the co-founder and director of Kalpanik Films and also has hence done this video. So Vishal, why don't we do a breakdown of how it's come together? So we've got the slides.
सबसे पहले तो आप सभी का शुक्रिया मुझे लग रहा है कि लोगों को काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट है एआई में और जेन एआई के बारे में लोग जानना चाहते हैं मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है देख के
Hold the mic closer.
जी हाँ आवाज़ आ रही है आप लोगों को हाँ जी तो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि अगर आप लोग के सवाल हैं कि ये गाना बना कैसे मतलब कि जैसा सीसी ने बताया कि ऑडियो भी जेन एआई है वीडियो भी जेन एआई है जो आपको दिख रहा है तो बेसिक लॉजिक ये है कि आपको पता होना चाहिए कि गाना कैसे बनता है बट प्रोड्यूस करना नहीं आता तो कोई मुश्किल नहीं है बट आपको गाने का स्ट्रक्चर पता होना चाहिए कि गाने में मुखड़ा होता है अंतरा होता है ब्रिज होता है तो बेसिक शौक़ है हमें अच्छी म्यूज़िक सुनने का तो हम चाहते हैं अच्छा म्यूज़िक बनाया भी जाए तो उसके लिए हमने कुछ बेसिक टूल जो अवेलेबल हैं जो आप सबको पता है उसका इस्तेमाल किया लेकिन इसके पीछे जो चैलेंज है वो मैं आप सबके सामने लाना चाहूँगा सबसे मुश्किल चीज़ क्या होती है जब आप एआई से कुछ भी करवाते हैं चाहे वो इमेज जनरेट करवाएं आप या वीडियो बनवाएं या फिर आप उससे वॉइस ओवर करवाएं तो जो लोग भी यहाँ पे जेन एआई टूल यूज़ करते हैं फॉर द वॉइस जनरेशन उन्हें पता होगा कि एआई साफ बोल नहीं पाता है और हिंदी तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं बोल पाता है कोई है यहाँ पे जो जेन एआई का इस्तेमाल करता है वॉइस ओवर के लिए वॉइस जनरेशन के लिए तो आप सबका स्ट्रगल मैं समझता हूँ ठीक है कि एआई साफ बोल नहीं पाता है तो बेसिकली वो गाना कैसे गाएगा तो जो गाना गवाना बहुत मुश्किल है तो जैसे आप इमेज प्रोड्यूस करते हैं तो जब तक अच्छी इमेज नहीं आती आप मल्टीपल इटरेशन करते हैं बार बार आप उसे रीजनरेट करते हैं। वैसे ही जब आप गाना बना रहे होते हैं तो एक एक अल्फाज, एक एक लफ्ज़ उसका आपको बार बार प्रोड्यूस कराना पड़ता है जब तक वो साफ ना बोल दे। मतलब अगर जैसे कि अगर आपको हिंदुस्तानी ज़बान में हम हर जो भी शब्द यूज़ करते हैं उसमें नुक्ता होता है, मात्राएं होती हैं। जैसे ज़रूर, तो ज के नीचे एक मात्रा होती है जिसको नुक्ता कहते हैं। अब एआई को नुक्ता नहीं पता, तो वो आपको कैसे अपनी भाषा में समझाना है कि वो नुक्ता अपने साउंड में प्रोड्यूस करे। तो इस तरह से करके बहुत छोटे छोटे चंक्स को रीजनरेट करके एक एक पार्ट को एक साथ स्टिच करके एक कंप्लीट गाना बनाया गया। तो जिसमें हमने पॉपुलर, सबसे ज़्यादा पॉपुलर ऐप है, आप सब जानते हैं, सुनो एआई। उसके बाद हमने ऑडिशन, एडोबे ऑडिशन की हेल्प ली। एडोबे ऑडिशन बेसिकली एडोबे का बहुत पॉपुलर टूल है जिसका इस्तेमाल हम करते हैं वोकल क्लीनिंग में। जो भी वॉइस को हम साफ़ करना चाहते हैं, रिवर्ब डालना चाहते हैं, ये सारी चीज़ें उसमें होती हैं। फिर आती है कोई भी गाना हमने बना दिया, म्यूज़िकल ट्रैक बना लिया, इंस्ट्रूमेंट वोकल बना लिए, फिर आता है वक्त मिक्सिंग और मास्टरिंग का, जिसके लिए प्रोफेशनल्स लगते हैं। बट अगर नहीं है और अगर आपको एक खुद का प्रोड्यूस करना है तो आप एआई टूल्स का इस्तेमाल करके प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, मिक्स मास्टर कर सकते हैं। जी, ये तो हो गया अपना गाना तैयार। अब बारी है वीडियो तैयार करने की। तो जो स्टैंडर्ड प्रोसीजर है, दो तरीके होते हैं बेसिकली वीडियो बनाने के। एक होता है टेक्स्ट टू इमेज, टेक्स्ट टू वीडियो, और एक होता है इमेज टू वीडियो। तो यहाँ पे हमने इस्तेमाल किया है इमेज टू वीडियो का इस्तेमाल किया हमने। पहले हमने इमेज प्रोड्यूस करी है। एक बहुत पॉपुलर टूल है जिसका नाम है गूगल इमेजन 3। तो इससे पहले हमने बताया कि स्टोरी बोर्डिंग और इमेज जनरेशन, तो जो ट्रेडिशनल मेथड है जहाँ पे हम किसी भी वीडियो को बनाने के लिए पहले एक आइडिएशन करते हैं, कंसेप्ट बनाते हैं, फिर स्टोरी बोर्डिंग करते हैं, शॉर्ट डिवाइड करते हैं। तो शॉर्ट डिवीजन बहुत ज़रूरी है। उसके बाद जब हमारे पास शॉर्ट्स आ गए कि हमें बनाना क्या है एग्जैक्टली, हम वो शॉर्ट को एज अ इमेज जनरेट करते हैं। तो अलग अलग टूल्स हैं जिनके अलग अलग क्वालिटीज़ हैं। इमेजन हमें बहुत अच्छा, गूगल का टूल है तो बहुत अच्छा रियलिस्टिक आउटपुट देता है, और आइडियोग्राम में बहुत सारे सिनेमैटिक डिटेल्स मिलते हैं हमें। और साथ ही साथ मिस्टिक का इस्तेमाल करते हैं जब हमें कोई हीरोइक एंगल चाहिए होता है, अच्छा रेजोल्यूशन चाहिए होता है, तो ये हमने इस्तेमाल किया इसका। और इसके अलावा अगर आप लोग बहुत सारे एआई टूल्स यूज़ कर रहे होंगे हर वक्त के साथ, जैसा कि मिस्टर चैतन्य ने बताया कि अपडेट होते हैं, तो वैसे ही हमारे पास वीडियो जनरेशन का पार्ट, जब हमारे पास इमेजेस बन जाती हैं, ये मैं बेसिक एक वर्कफ्लो बता रहा हूँ, ये कोई स्टैंडर्ड वर्कफ्लो नहीं है और ये सबके लिए नहीं वर्कफ्लो है ये। हाँ,
this is the most important thing. This workflow works for them. It may not work for you. You have to figure out what workflow works for you. Every prompt tool reacts in a different way, right? Just like you always have director, DOP, Jodi. Why? Because समझ में आता है उन दोनों को. Similarly, you have to build that tuning with tools and platforms, right? So it's not a one size fits all thing at all.
मैं ये भी बात कहना चाहूँगा, ये लोग जो सोच रहे हैं कि अभी सबके मन में सवाल होगा कि कौन सा टूल इस्तेमाल करें जिससे बहुत अच्छा आउटपुट आएगा, है ना? अभी आ रही आवाज़? हाँ, तो आप सबके मन में एक सवाल होगा कौन सा अच्छा टूल है जिसका इस्तेमाल करें कि ऐसा आउटपुट आएगा, अच्छी इमेजेस आएगी, अच्छे वीडियो आएंगे। तो ये जैसा कि इन्होंने बताया वर्कफ्लो सबके लिए अलग होता है। वैसे ही ये टूल के बारे में नहीं है कि कौन सा टूल बेहतर है, बेहतर है कि हम कौन सा सिस्टम इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। एक टूल आपको बेस्ट रिजल्ट नहीं दे सकता है, हमें एक पूरा सिस्टम बनाना होगा और इसी सिस्टम को हम वर्कफ्लो कहते हैं। तो यहाँ पे जो वर्कफ्लो मैं आपके साथ शेयर कर रहा हूँ, इसमें हमने इमेज टू वीडियो के लिए क्लिंग का इस्तेमाल किया है, हाइलो एआई का इस्तेमाल किया और मिनीमैक्स डायरेक्टर का इस्तेमाल किया है। और इनकी क्वालिटीज़ ये हैं, आप कैपेबिलिटीज़ आप सब जानते होंगे। क्लिंग एआई बहुत ही रियलिस्टिक, अगर हमें क्राउड शो करनी, जैसे इस म्यूज़िक वीडियो में बहुत सारे कैरेक्टर्स हम एक साथ दिखा रहे थे, तो उसके लिए क्लिंग का इस्तेमाल किया है। जहाँ पे हमें फेशियल बॉडी मूवमेंट्स चाहिए अच्छे, वो हमें हॉली एआई से मिलते हैं। और जहाँ पे हमें कैमरा एंगल्स चाहिए होते हैं, जहाँ पे हमें डॉली शॉट चाहिए, ड्रोन शॉट चाहिए, उसके लिए हमने मिनीमैक्स डायरेक्टर का इस्तेमाल किया है। तो अब फाइनल स्टेज जो होती है किसी भी वीडियो के लिए, ट्रेडिशनल हो या एनिमेशन या एआई, हमें क्या करना होता है कि हमें जो भी शॉट हमने जनरेट किए वो हमारे पास एक रॉ फुटेज की तरह है। एक हमारे पास रशेज आ गए हैं और उस रशेज को हम प्रीमियर प्रो में लाइनअप करते हैं उसका, और उस लाइनअप को एडिट करते हैं, फिर डीआई करते हैं कि जिससे वो और सारी फुटेजेस एक साथ सिंक में लगें और एक शूट का पार्ट लगे। तो ये इस्तेमाल किया हमने। कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो हमें ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब भी हम एआई से कुछ प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं तो हम कुछ ऐसा प्रोड्यूस करें जो ट्रेडिशनली प्रोड्यूस करने में बहुत मुश्किल आती है और हम एआई से वो ज़्यादा बेहतर कर सकते हैं, जहाँ पे हम अपना कल्चर दिखा सकें, जो कि बहुत अभी मुझे लगता है और डिस्कवर होना बाकी है। कुछ हमें विजुअल कंटिन्यूटी का ध्यान रखना होता है कि जब भी हम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं कुछ भी शॉट, कोई भी फ्रेम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, तो इस बात का ध्यान रखें कि हर शॉट दूसरे शॉट से मैच करता रहे, इन सिंक रहे, जिससे वो उसका हिस्सा लग सके। फिर बारी आती है DI की, और हाँ, चैलेंजेस एक भी ये भी आते हैं कि कभी आप AI में इमेज टू वीडियो जब आप प्रोड्यूस कर रहे होते हैं तो शेप मॉर्फ होता है बहुत ज़्यादा, वो कंट्रोल करना सबसे ज़्यादा मुश्किल है। तो जैसे ही इमेज के जनरेशन्स में इटरेशन आते हैं, वैसे ही इमेज टू वीडियो के जनरेशन में बहुत सारे इटरेशन आपको करने पड़ते हैं, और ये आंकड़ा 1 से लेके 50 तक जा सकता है अगर आप कितने भी अच्छे प्रॉम्प्ट दे लें, कितना अच्छा भी टूल आप यूज़ कर लें। तो इस बारे में नहीं है, इस बारे में है कि आपको डिज़ायरेबल आउटपुट कैसे मिलता है और कब मिलता है, तो रिफाइनमेंट है।
Yeah, so we have a couple more examples of ad films and kids animation, but I'd rather spend the last 7-8 minutes we have answering questions, because वो ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. I can keep showing you 15-20 different examples and detailed breakdowns of that, but I'd rather that, because you have Vishal and Mandar and whatever little work that Whistling Woods has done, so happy to answer questions.
Hi, so my name is Priyambad and
You have
I represent a YouTube channel that does gaming content primarily called Dark Viper AU, and we're a pretty big channel and we've been looking into getting into audio dubbing for our content to access, because 5% of our audience comes from India itself, and we believe that we can go further ahead into India. So I tried hiring someone on behalf of the channel for audio dubbing, but we could not find anyone. So for visual dubbing, do we still have to supply a dubbing for the software to work, or is it generating the audio itself?
No, so for example, for YouTube or any content that is meant for digital platforms, we haven't named it yet, but we have like a visual dub lite, which is a lighter version of a model meant only for your use case. You can try out that platform. It's called Sync Monster AI. We have purposefully kept it differently named because we don't want people to get confused between the very premium models meant for filmmaking and for YouTube level. But check out Sync Monster, and we can connect after. I'll give you my coordinates, and we can take this off. But
Alright.
it's possible.
Yeah,
definitely.
And on that bit, I think we're about a year and a half away from being able to do visual dub at all resolutions real time. It's basically being held back by computing, not by anything else. Right? So if we get better computing, we'll be able to pull it off.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you for such a educative conference. I should say that this is Gayatri Chaudhary. I'm an actor.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
This is Gayatri Chaudhary. I'm an actor. Thank you for such a educative session. I would like to ask you, what about the prompts? Like, if at all somebody wants to make it, there are obviously the tools that you're providing. But sometimes what happens is prompts itself are not enough to portray the complete movie. Let's say, because we are thinking on a screenplay level, so we are thinking on a script level, screenplay level. So while giving prompts, it becomes something, it becomes challenging. So
Yes.
is there any particular course, or is there a particular thing that
So
we can...
yeah, so there is some attempt at standardization of prompt structures, right? Where the first block will be who are you as a filmmaker, because it needs to understand who you are as a filmmaker in order to create the video. So basically you have to say, I am a filmmaker who's making a dark horror comedy and I want this shot. So the second block is got to be what is the outcome you want of the shot. The third block are what are all the elements that you want in the shot. And the fourth block is what happens in the shot, right? So this is a structure that is now starting to get standardized. So O1, VO3 and a couple of other tools have now started to follow this structure. Now when this structure becomes adopted by everybody, then it will become a format. Just like you have a format in Final Draft for writing a script, you will have a structure for writing prompts. Now within that, how well you are able to describe each of those things, that is up to the individual craft, right? Yeah. But that is coming soon. I mean, O1 has already released 5 minutes? Okay. So O1 has already released, VO has already released their prompt structures. They're online, so you can check them out.
Even Sora 2.
Even Sora has released, yeah.
हेलो विशाल
Sorry,
मैं
ma'am, can you,
अमोल
one second, can you give
अगवेकर
him the mic? Behind you.
अभी आपने बताया कि बहुत सारे टूल्स पे काम करना पड़ता है छोटे छोटे जिसमें हमें अच्छा आउटपुट मिलता है तो उसके नोट्स आप बनाते हो क्या कि जब काम करते हो तो इस टूल में ये जनरेट हुआ ये इतने तक जनरेट हुआ ऐसा नोट्स आप बनाते हो क्या
नहीं इनिशियली हाँ पूरा पूछ लीजिए
हाँ या उसको प्रोसेस कैसा होता है क्योंकि मैं भी छोटा सा ट्राई करता हूँ इमेज जनरेशन ऑडियो जनरेशन के लिए तो करते करते बहुत बार करना पड़ता है और पता चलता है कि इतना सही मिला है 0.5% और 5% ओनली हाँ तो उसको नोट डाउन
we got your question. So normally filmmakers don't do it, but I force them to do their background.
It is like storyboarding,
right? So even my students, when they do AI content, we force them to do the breakdown.
Yes.
Because that is how we assess it.
Yes. क्योंकि वो चला जाता है
That's an assessment tool for us, right? Decision making and all that.
Yeah.
On the on the 2 seconds wala bit, right? On an average, every 2-second clip, you will have a 1:15 iterative ratio.
Yeah.
Right? On an average. If you're better than 15, then you're good.
Good. Yes.
Right? But I have seen people who are very good filmmakers who had to go 1:30.
Good.
Also.
Yeah.
Right? So, Vishal, if you want to add something.
जी हाँ मैं वही बताना चाह रहा था कि अगर आप इस मुश्किल में आप पढ़ेंगे कि मुझे हर टूल के एक नोट्स बना लेनी चाहिए तो वो आप सिर्फ नोट्स बनाते रह जाएंगे आप फिल्म नहीं बना पाएंगे
ओके
ठीक है क्योंकि अगर आपने गूगल VO 2 की बना ली या 3 की बना ली आपको शायद सबको पता लग जाएगा थोड़े वक्त में ये जितने भी वर्जन्स है गूगल VO 3 2 इससे आगे भी VO 4 5 6 सब ऑलरेडी प्रोड्यूस हो रखे हैं बन रखे हैं बट ये रिलीज नहीं हुए अभी ये 1 by 1 करके बाहर आ रहे हैं जैसे कि सोरा 1 आया था अब सोरा 2 आ गया है तो ये टाइम के साथ इवॉल्व होगा आपको बेसिक बिहेवियर समझना पड़ेगा ये सारे टूल्स काम कैसे करते हैं एक बार अगर आपने वो नब्ज पकड़ ली ना तो फिर आपको बस बेसिक अगर आप समझे ना कि अगर आपके पास पेट्स हैं आपको पसंद है तो डॉग को आपको अलग अलग ट्रेन नहीं करना है मतलब अगर आपका बुलडॉग किसी ब्रीड का है अलग अलग ब्रीड्स है आपको समझना है कि वो जानवर आपकी भाषा कैसे समझते हैं वो है प्यार की भाषा तो सब पे एप्लीकेबल होगी तो वो प्रॉम्प्ट की लैंग्वेज कमांड अगर आपने एक बार समझ ली ना वो सब पे एप्लीकेबल है
ओके थैंक
तो
यू
आप बच जाएंगे
थैंक यू वेरी
Thank you guys. I would love to take more questions, but there's a session after this, so we'll be just available outside, offline. So happy to. Nobody's going anywhere. We are here, but the stage is needed by another panel. So thank you so much for coming. And yeah, I mean, hope this was educative.
थैंक यू
I just asked the speakers to stay on stage for 2 minutes, and I'll call upon Satyendra Mehra, who is a group director in Nürnberg Messe, to hand over a token of appreciation. And just to let you know, a brief background, these are basically tree certificates. So a tree will be planted on behalf of each of the speakers who are here.